The night began with the usual glitz and glam of late-night TV. Jimmy Kimmel grinned into the camera, welcoming viewers with sharp jokes and a touch of sarcasm. The audience roared as he announced the arrival of his next guest, none other than Benedict Cumberbatch. The curtain pulled back and Benedict walked in with that signature mix of British poise and understated swagger. Dressed in a crisp navy suit, he waved politely and sat across from Jimmy. The early part of the conversation was smooth. They talked about his upcoming sci-fi thriller, a few theater anecdotes, and a bit of playful teasing about his complicated last name. But behind the charm, something subtle was off. A shift in energy crept into the room when Jimmy veered off script, steering the discussion toward politics and Cumberbatch's recent statements in a viral podcast. Benedict, you've been vocal about some political issues lately, Jimmy said, his tone towing the line between curiosity and confrontation. You called certain world leaders dangerously uninformed. Pretty bold for an actor. The crowd chuckled awkwardly. Benedict blinked slowly, maintaining his composure. I didn't say that lightly, he replied, his voice calm. Sometimes silence is more dangerous. Jimmy smirked. But aren't actors supposed to entertain, not educate? He quipped, earning scattered laughter. Benedict didn't smile. Art has always held a mirror to society. Pretending otherwise is willful ignorance, he said evenly. The room quieted. Jimmy raised an eyebrow. So you're saying people need you to tell them how to think? That was the spark. Benedict's eyes darkened, his jaw tightened, and the heat behind his words began to rise. No, Benedict said sharply. I'm saying that storytelling shapes culture. If we pretend art exists in a vacuum, we're complicit in decay. The audience grew hushed. Jimmy leaned back, sensing the tension but pressing forward. That sounds a bit dramatic, he said with a shrug. Don't you think people are just tired of being lectured? Benedict's voice rose a notch. Maybe they're tired of being lied to. Maybe they want truth, even if it's uncomfortable. A visible shift happened in the audience. People leaned forward, unsure whether to cheer or hold their breath. Jimmy attempted a joke to diffuse the moment, mocking Benedict's accent in a cartoonish way. Even when you argue, you sound like Sherlock solving a mystery. Laughter echoed, but Benedict didn't join in. I think mocking someone's voice to end a serious conversation is telling, Benedict said quietly. The silence that followed was dense. Jimmy's grin faltered. All right, he said, trying to recover. Let's move on. But Benedict wasn't done. No, let's not move on. You invited me here, presumably to talk, not to be dismissed or caricatured. A few members of the audience clapped. Jimmy's irritation peaked. Through? Relax, man. It's a comedy show. Benedict stood up slowly. Then maybe I'm on the wrong stage. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jimmy's face tensed. You're seriously walking out? Benedict nodded. I didn't come here to be a punchline. With that, he buttoned his jacket, turned to the audience with a brief nod, and walked off stage. The studio was stunned into silence. Kimmel looked off to the side as producers scrambled backstage. For a moment, the live show hung in limbo. The camera awkwardly panned to the band, who began playing a filler tune. When they returned from a commercial break, Jimmy appeared visibly rattled. Well, that was unexpected, he said. Benedict Cumberbatch, everybody. He'll be back, maybe? His joke landed flat. The audience offered weak applause. Backstage, Cumberbatch left without fanfare, ignoring questions from staff. Within hours, the internet erupted. Honda Cumberbatch storms off trended worldwide. Clips of the tense exchange flooded YouTube and TikTok. Viewers argued over who was in the wrong. Some hailed Benedict for his poise. Others said he couldn't take a joke, but everyone agreed it was television lightning. The fallout was fast and fierce. Entertainment outlets ran with headlines like Cumberbatch clashes with Kimmel and Sherlock no more. Benedict breaks silence. Commentators from both sides weighed in. Some praised Benedict's stand for intellectual integrity. Others called it an overreaction. Memes exploded across the web. Edits of Cumberbatch vanishing into thin air mid-walkout, Doctor Strange style, went viral. Meanwhile, the full uncut segment leaked online. It showed more than what aired. Benedict asking Jimmy politely 3 times to keep the conversation respectful. Jimmy brushing him off. That changed public perception. People began to rethink what really happened. The initial, "he couldn't handle it" narrative flipped fast. Now it was, Kimmel poked the wrong bear. The next evening, Kimmel addressed the incident briefly on his show. "We had a rough moment last night," he said. "I respect Benedict. Emotions ran high. I maybe crossed a line. It was part apology, part PR patchwork." But Benedict remained silent. Days passed. Finally, he posted on Instagram a single photo of a burning stage. No caption. The message was clear. The world of celebrity talk shows, once seen as a safe space for scripted fun, had been cracked open. Critics praised Benedict's refusal to be tokenized for laughs. Late-night television, they argued, needed a reset. A reckoning was brewing in the house of comedy. All because one man chose to walk away rather than sit silently. Talk show hosts across networks took note. Few even commented indirectly. "We treat our guests with more class here," one joked. Audiences were paying attention. Meanwhile, Benedict resumed filming a major historical drama in Europe. Journalists tried to get comments, but he declined. Interviews. The mystery only deepened his aura. His fan base, already passionate, grew louder in support. Think pieces flooded in. What happens when celebrities push back? Respect versus ratings. The Cumberbatch moment. Podcasts debated the role of celebrities in political discourse. But one thing was universally accepted. Benedict didn't storm out in anger. He exited with principle, and that made all the difference. Eventually, Kimmel extended a private apology, confirmed by unnamed sources. Benedict, true to form, gave no public reply. But he didn't need to. The clip had already entered pop culture legend. SNL parodied it. Street artists painted murals of Cumberbatch walking off into a moonlit backstage. It became a symbol, a modern walk of principle. Even those who weren't fans admitted it took courage to walk out under the blinding lights of live TV. The man known for playing geniuses had pulled a move nobody expected. He reminded audiences that intelligence wasn't about answers. It was about knowing when a conversation had gone beneath you. Months later, when Benedict returned to public interviews, he was asked gently about the moment. He gave a short response. "I'd rather be remembered for walking away with dignity than staying seated in disrespect." Applause followed. The incident faded into the timeline of celebrity history, but its echoes shaped a shift in how public figures were treated. The curtain never fell the same way again. It wasn't about drama. It was about drawing a line. Cumberbatch didn't explode. He didn't throw insults. He simply stood, spoke truth, and walked off. And in doing so, he created a moment more gripping than any scripted show. A man choosing his voice over a laugh track.